Like Silent Hill 2 is like baby's first Silent Hill. You said, well, everyone says it's fun with a friend, and that's literally it.
Who talking about they like Resident Evil 5? You're wrong. That game is terrible. It's ass. It's garbage. It's doo-doo. It's that stuff that comes out of your butthole. It's shit. Number 2, it is a garbage game. Stop buying video games on day one. Stop buying them on day one launch, because these games are most likely buggy as all hell.
Sir does the same thing where you can, like, Steam, you purchase something on Steam, and then you try to open it, and it's like, oh no, you need this other third-party launcher. And it's like, what? And earlier, in Resident Evil 1, where Chris laughs at Wesker, and he's like, Wesker's like, Chris, stop it.
Joined by the illustrious, smart, and laid-back Kelsey Fearless. And today, welcome.
We're back.
We are back again. Good night, and good morning, and good evening to everybody around the world. I am your favorite beard bro out here with the glorious beard, Mr. Kennedy. And I am joined once again, y'all say with me, with the radiant, illustrious, smart, and laid back Kelsey Fearless. How are you doing today, Miss Lady?
Thank you. You're too sweet. I am excellent. How are you today, Ken? How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Just like I said, I got a good amount of sleep. I'm glad that we do this podcast at 2:00, because I normally would get up and stream at 12 noon. So that only gave me like 3 hours to sleep.
Oh my Lord, 3 hours. There you go, though. All right. Holy, running off 3 hours.
But
You're
yes,
madman, Ken.
Welcome everybody to episode 3 of the Hot Taste Podcast. We got a stacked show for y'all. But first, we got to get a few announcements out of the way. First, number one, and this surprise for everybody, especially Kelsey. We have our own email here. Bam, pop that up for anybody.
No way, we have our own email.
Yep.
No way.
Yeah, we do.
We're moving on up.
Hot Takes Podcast at yahoo.com. If you guys want to send in questions to us to answer on the podcast, keep it professional, we will do that. But that's the first one. The second one is, if you can't catch the live streams on Twitch, because you know how Twitch is with the VODs, only 2 weeks they hold it. If you don't want to go over to my YouTube channel, Mr. Kennedy04, and check out the podcast over there, you can check out the Hot Taste Podcast on Spotify.
We're on Spotify now?
Yeah,
oh my Lord.
As of yesterday, the Hot Taste Podcast is on Spotify. I uploaded the first 2 episodes, and I will be uploading every episode audio only. So if you're on your way to work, or you're working out in the gym, or you just don't want to watch videos, head over there to Spotify. The link is up there on my stream right there. Go over there. It's free to support us. So there you go. There's 3 different ways y'all can listen to the show.
Oh my, I'm like grinning, like that's amazing. That's amazing. That's news to me too, but that's amazing.
Yeah, I wanted to keep it as a surprise for you.
Thanks for doing that, Ken. That's amazing.
Well, definitely. We both working very hard behind the scenes on this podcast to make it as fun as possible for everybody and to get it out to the masses. Anyways, let's get this show on the road. Let me start this. But we want to talk about microtransactions and how they keep screwing people over. It's funny these days how video games, like, they do that stuff to us, and it goes with DLC as well too. How they make a game and then they cut stuff out and then charge you extra for it. But microtransactions is probably worse than DLC, because you have these features where people could basically just pay to beat the game instead of actually going through the game.
Pay to win. Yeah, pay to win. I think they just released something for Escape from Tarkov that people were mad about. It was like wasn't a DLC. I think it was like a new edition of the game, but it was the first one that's like pay to win. And then the people who bought the previous edition, they said that they would get every DLC, from what I was reading. Someone can correct me, but they would get every DLC that released when they bought that patch, like that pack. They rolled it back, released a new one with even better items, and now, yeah, people who bought the previous can't get all the DLC again. Like, that's slimy.
They did that with the Resident Evil remake games as well too. Like Resident Evil 2 remake, you can just buy all of the stuff that you unlock instead of just playing through the game. And
yeah, like that makes no sense.
And I'm like, where's the fun in that?
Exactly. And some of them you had to do a lot of different achievements for it, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I just was saying, like, what's the point?
Yeah,
what's the point of that?
With Resident Evil 2, you gotta, in order to unlock, special weapons, you have to complete criteria in order to do that. But where's the fun if you could just go and buy it? And I'm like, what's the point? Like, that's cheap.
Yeah.
But it's not like Capcom it's never been guilty of this stuff. They're doing it now with their newest game, Dragon's Dogma 2. The microtransactions on that, where you pay $2 to change your character's appearance. You pay $1 for waste stones, which revives your character, which is kind of cheap as all hell.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Really? To change your character's appearance, though?
$2 to change a character's appearance. I'm dead serious. And then they, like I said, $1 waste stones, which means if you die, they expect you to pay a real dollar to get a waste stone to revive your character. I'm like, come on now with that crap.
Oh my God. Oh, and it's an RPG, right? So especially the character creator, isn't the character creator on that kind of crazy? So they knew that people were going to do that and they made them pay.
I mean, and the thing that sucks about it is that people will do it. People will buy this crap, even though we're getting, they're nickel and diming us, they're cheating the hell out of us. People will continue to support these companies instead of voting with their wallet and saying, hell no, I'm not paying for that. You already have to pay $70 for the game. Now you got to pay extra money for all of this crap here, and it makes no sense to me. And,
yeah, exactly.
Hey, Atomic Cat, welcome in. How are you?
Oh, hey, Tom Cat.
But since we're on the subject of that, now I want to talk about DLC, because DLC is just as bad. Like I said before, they make the whole entire game and then they go in and they cut out bits and pieces and then they charge you extra for the game. So you already paid $70 for it. Now you got to pay $2, $3, $4 for a little piece of DLC, which doesn't even matter.
No, and we used to have expansion packs. Do you remember when games would have expansion packs where you could go and it was usually like, I'm thinking of like back in the day, like Diablo 2. I can remember I got all the expansion packs, but those were actual games. Like those were actual games. We don't really get those anymore. They just chop them up. I know City Skylines 2 actually just got in really big hot water for they released the worst rated DLC on Steam. It was just like a couple of items that had nothing to do with what they were selling. I guess it broke everything. Now they had to walk it back.
It's ridiculous how they do that. Like it used to be back in the day where, like I'll use a random game like Fire Pro Wrestling D for the Sega Dreamcast. You would go in and they had the online feature where you could unlock all different types of wrestler characters. And it's like you had to work to do that stuff. Like nowadays, it's so much hand holding in video games. It's kind of making me sick with all the checkpoints. And, we'll just, we'll do this mode. So we'll just do everything for you. And I'm the type of person, I'm like, look, if you're not actually trying out the video game, then you can't be gloating about beating something. That's just my personal thing. If you got to buy your way through the game, like, come on.
No, exactly. Also, hey, Spike, what's up? No, but that's such a thing. And even it goes back, and I guess it goes the same as microtransactions. Like, there's no sense of accomplishment. Because you're right, like in fighting games, like that's definitely a thing. I can remember having to do all these challenges. Like, I love Soul Calibur. I love the Soul Calibur games, right? Now, I remember you would have to run things with every single character. You had to learn every character. You had to do this. You had to do that just to unlock them.
Yeah, that's the truth. And it's like now, what I mean, especially like I said, I hate to harp on Capcom, but it's the same thing. Like it is charging for all of these costumes. And I remember like during that craze when Street Fighter 4 came out and they had 150 different versions of Street Fighter 4 and they were charging $1, $2 a piece for costumes. I'm like, dude, just have people unlock it. Like give them bang for their buck. And what's even worse than that is day one DLC.
Oh yeah.
Where you have to pre-order the game to get a specific one, and nobody ever gets the same DLC on day one. And if you don't order it, like I'll use Evil Within for an example. When Evil Within was about to come out, they had the Fighting Chance pack, which gave you a second shotgun, the poison bolt, and the incendiary bolt as well too. If you miss that, you can't get it. You can't buy it anywhere. So people that have it, they just have it. And then if you buy it after, you don't have it. I'm like, I hate when they do that. I'm like,
yeah, I actually have a thorn in... Oh, no, go ahead.
I'm like, just make it unlockable.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There was actually, with DLC too, a huge thorn in my side. So I've been doing the Dead Space remake. Is in Dead Space 2, it has a DLC. It has a DLC, except it's only for console. It's console only. And, like, good luck getting it now. Good luck getting it now. It's a PS3 game. Like, good luck.
Yeah, because that's a genius way to do things. And then they have, like, you've seen where they have the different types of DLC depending on what console you have. So PC might have something that nobody else has, and vice versa. And, I can see...
did that.
Yeah, I could see how people would be sounding cheated, like, damn, like, I want that. Like, there's some things, like, using Skyrim as an example. There are some things, like, mods that they have in the Anniversary Edition that's only on console that I can't get on PC. And I'm like, that's bullshit.
But I guess, maybe it'll force you to buy console. I'm sure that's probably part of it.
Yeah, well, I'm not going back to console anytime soon. Probably will never go back to console. But yeah, we was talking about day one DLC microtransactions and how we're getting cheated as the consumer from all of these gaming companies. So back to what I was saying, it's like, it's bad enough. You got the PS5 and the PS4, you got to spend, $300, $400, $500. Then you got to pay $70 for a game. And then you got to pay for all of this DLC. I'm like, damn, where does it end?
$2 to change your character.
Yeah, $2 to change your character, $1 to get revived. And I'm like, yo, come on, bro. Enough with that.
No, thanks.
But the thing is, like I said, it's not going to stop because people are going to keep supporting these companies. They're not voting with their wallets and saying, hey, we're not paying for that.
Yep, they're selling it because someone's buying it. And can that someone please stop?
Yes, but we need to move on here. Now, I want to ask you something. Do you think, because I've been thinking about it a lot and I'm working on a video for YouTube on Ada Wong, and if I think that she can be a main protagonist in her own Resident Evil game. So stay tuned for that.
Oh, that's good. I'm going to watch that.
But would you rather see Resident Evil 9 or would you rather see another remake?
Depends on the remake. It depends on the remake. Which one?
Well, I mean, I know you're gonna go for
yeah, you already know.
Code Veronica, because I know that's your favorite one. But
yeah, you already know.
I just don't want. I could see from Music Mons that we froze up on here. Yeah, we're using a virtual camera, so it's not perfect.
Why is it being janky? Is it being janky?
Like we froze up on OBS on my stream.
Oh Lord, All right.
But everything looking at Twitch over here is fine, so I can actually move and all of that. Yeah, but he said
Oh, full froze. All right. Yeah. Okay, it's fine on mine, but not on Ken's.
Okay. Well, I mean, can y'all hear us? So as long as you can hear me, that's all that matters. It is what it is. But anyways though. But yeah, I would rather see a Resident Evil 9. I don't want Capcom to rely on remakes. I don't want them to use that as a crutch. They gotta advance the story and see, where things can go,
But where can they go with it at this point? I think that's like a really big problem now is like that's why they had to reboot it. Though I wouldn't mind like a prequel or a midquel again. I wouldn't mind that. Like put us back in Raccoon City. I was actually saying this on one of my streams not too long ago because I would love actually a remake of Outbreak. Outbreak would be sick, but I would love Resident Evil 9 to be like not actually Resident Evil 9, but taking place in like Outbreak. Like bring you back, I'd like the civilian thing to happen, which has never been kind of Resident Evil's deal until they got to 6 and they're like, all right, well everyone's OP now. Like everyone's so powerful. So they had to scale it back, right? But which is fine. Return to the survival horror core is great. I mean, it's single-handedly like revived it single-handedly revived the entire series. It's just I don't know. I would love something back in Raccoon City. So
I don't know if they could do that though, because I mean they blew it up. Like Raccoon City was blown up, so it would have to be a remake or a prequel.
It would still have to happen. No, it would still happen in like 98. Like it'd be happening in 98. Like we're going back. Ooh, that would be really cool. Resident Evil 9, but put an 8 to it. 9 as in 98. All right, I'm calling Capcom. I got $1 billion deal for you, Capcom.
Well, I don't know, because that's like I said, I'm working on a video as we speak. This would be a good thing to take a character like a Ada Wong and make her the protagonist of of Resident Evil 9, because there's so many things that we don't know about her. They could expand on her background, and I think it would be interesting to talk about her connection to John and what happened before she met Leon and what
John.
So I think that they could do something like that. And or maybe they could take someone, bring back Sherry. She was in Resident Evil 6. I think that Sherry could probably carry a game on her own, do something like what she did after Raccoon City, how she trained to become a agent and all of that. They can expand on things like that. But I just
that's true.
But I just don't want Capcom to rely on this the way that they relied on on Street Fighter 4 for so long, and DLC and all of that stuff. You got to advance forward and give us something new. You can do spin-off games like I guess Resident Evil 3 Resident Evil Revelations 3. You can do something like that, like Revelations 1 with Jill, Revelations 2 with Claire and Barry, and then they could do something. If they don't want to do Resident Evil 9, at least give us something that advances forward.
Oh, I know. There's so many. Also, what's up, Demon Queen? Yeah, there's a lot they can do. There's actually a lot they can do. There's so many good side characters that they could give like their own story to. That I'd be down for that. I would be down for that.
Yeah, just don't bring back Steve, man. So help me God, man.
No, if there's a Code Veronica remake, like they need to gut Steve. Like they got to change Steve. Or watch them just keep him exactly the same. It's like if the Code Veronica remake, it was perfect. If it was like perfect, but then they kept Steve. That's it. It was the perfect remake. It surpassed Resident Evil 4. It was the greatest thing Capcom has ever released. And then they kept Steve. Imagine.
Yeah, well, yeah, got him right out of the game, and I would be happy. Speaking of that, because like I said, I don't want it to become a cash grab where it's like, okay, we did a remake and then they're putting out half-ass remakes like Resident Evil 3 remake. That junk sucks. Like, I'm sorry, I gave it a D. I gave it a D on the tier list. It sucked because it felt like half of a game.
Oh yeah. Demon Queen actually said what'd you say? Ari Rookie, but from what I understand, the fun part about Ada is that she's so cool and mysterious. I guess Ken's gonna be breaking that down in his YouTube video. So hi Yuko.
Yeah, I'm working on that. It should be out. It should be out sometime next week. But since we brought it up about, I want to talk about franchises that need a new entry. I got a list here that I want to talk about and see what chat thinks. And once again, I apologize for my thing being frozen. I don't know why that never happens. But I mean,
it's still good on my side.
Yeah, so you can go to Kelsey's stream if you guys want to, or you can just catch the live on audio only on Spotify, because we're on Spotify now. So yeah. New entries. Ninja Gaiden. One of my all-time favorite games back in the day. We need a new Ninja Gaiden. I don't know what's going on with that.
It's true, we do.
Have you ever played the Ninja Gaiden games?
When I was young, yeah. When I was young, yeah. When was the last game?
I believe the last game was they did one I forget what it was called, but Yaiba Ninja Gaiden, that was for the PS3, PS4. That was the last one we got. And that game was crap. I'm like, nah, they need to go back. If they're gonna be doing remakes, go back to the very first Ninja Gaiden for the Nintendo and remake that.
We need to remake some old school games. That's what needs a remake treatment. We gotta remake like classics.
Definitely.
I'd be down with those kind of remakes.
Definitely. Another game that I like to see, it doesn't even have to be a remake, just a new entry. It's a game called Bushido Blade. Yeah. Bushido Blade, that was made by Square Enix, which was one of the very first fighting games with weapons, like katanas and nodochis and all of that stuff. And it was such a cool game. There was only two. There was Bushido Blade 1 and 2 on PlayStation, and then they never did anything else with it again.
That was the end.
They started focusing squarely on Final Fantasy and stuff. I'm like, damn, man, y'all got this franchise y'all not doing nothing with. Another game I like to see now, it pretty much died a death over there on the PSP. Tenchu. Now I know this is all ninja fighting games, but Tenchu was Tenchu was one of the most awesome ninja games in existence, man. I remember when I first got my hands on the first one on PlayStation, and you're just sneaking through villages as Ricky Maru, and you're just going around just taking people out, man. And I'm like, oh, we need another one. That one on the PSP was absolute dog shit. The one where it's like a cross between third person and first person. So when you get in the fights, it goes into first person, and it's just, I'm like, this is so lame, man. This is so lame. Anyways, though, let's move on here. Marvel Ultimate Alliance. For anybody that don't know what that is, that's when they take a whole bunch of Marvel heroes and you can play as a team and you run through missions and stuff. It's like an isometric style video game. The last one that they had was 3 on the Nintendo Switch, and they never ported it to anything else. Why not?
Switch.
I'm like, why not? Why is it exclusive for the Nintendo Switch? I thought that game was a lot of fun, being able to play as all different types of Marvel characters, and my favorite, Psylocke, Betsy Braddock from X-Men. I love her, man. Yeah, I love that. We need a new one. Now, I know this is going to pique everybody's interest here, because they already said in the chat, Dino Crisis. Either give us a new Dino Crisis or remake the first one.
Oh, I know. Come on. Oh my Lord.
I keep seeing it in my head. Like, can you imagine being chased by dinosaurs and a T-Rex in today's graphics, the way that Resident Evil 4 remake is.
Right, and in Dino Crisis, all the dinosaurs, you had like the same, like, what, 2 or 3 dinosaurs? Like, all the enemies, it got really repetitive, but man, like, imagine that, except it's all like, oh, that'd be so good if it was all actually like different dinosaurs. Oh, it'd be perfect. It'd be perfect.
That's what I'm saying. Capcom needs to do something with that, because this, you got all of these companies sitting on franchises they're not doing nothing with. Konami, look at all the stuff they got. Castlevania, they got Metal Gear, they got Silent Hill, and I know they're gonna do Silent Hill 2. Let us all pray. And they're gonna be doing Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. Let us all pray again.
So pray, right? We can't trust Konami anymore.
Nah,
we haven't trusted Konami for like 20 years. Like when was the last time we could trust Konami?
The last time I trusted Konami is when they came out with Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater for the PS2.
Yeah,
that was pretty much it. That was pretty much it. Now we're moving on. Parasite Eve. Either give us a new one, and a third birthday does not count. That crap on the PSP was garbage. That was not a Parasite Eve game. It may have had Aya in there, but it's not Parasite Eve. That third birthday was trash. Give us a real Parasite Eve 3 or remake the first one.
Right?
Yeah.
I've never played the third one.
The third birthday was trash. Like, it was just a generic run and gun, like with generic missions and stuff that you run through. And it sucked. I'm like, this ain't no Parasite Eve. It lacked everything. Like, all the scary horror elements was not in that game. It was basically just like a run and gun.
Right.
And I'm
and just slap the name on it.
Yep. It's not even called Parasite Eve. It's called the third birthday. That's literally what it's called. Yeah.
It's the one time the third entry didn't help us.
Yeah. I mean, and it's on, I love the PSP. The PSP was a great handheld, but it's like, why would you just release that exclusively for that console? Like, I hate exclusive only games, you know? Like, on the GameCube, you got Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes, which is a remake of Metal Gear Solid for the PlayStation. And it just sucks that it's only for that console. Like, it was never ported anywhere else. And I was hoping with the Metal Gear collection that they came out with, I was hoping that they would put that on there finally. But nope, we got the Metal Gear Solid for PlayStation.
Yeah, Kingdom Hearts was the worst for it, actually. Kingdom Hearts was the worst for it. I love those games growing up. But man, they would put different games on every different console, every handheld, every different console. And the worst part about it was they were all like canon to the actual story. Like, they were canon games. It's just to get the full story, you had to buy like 3 different consoles, like 5 different games. And then when they released Kingdom Hearts 3, like, no one cared anymore. They fumbled on that one too.
Yeah, I never played any of the Kingdom Hearts stuff. People are probably going to be like, oh my God, are you serious? No, I never played any of the Kingdom Hearts games.
To you.
Nah, it wasn't my type of thing. All right, so another game that I like to see, Onimusha. Capcom, you got so many damn good games. Onimusha is so awesome, man. Fun fact.
Ooh, I've been meaning to play that.
Fun fact for people who don't know, Onimusha was supposed to be a Resident Evil game that was set in feudal Japan. It was literally supposed to be called Biohazard. Biohazard, like something like that, but it was going to be a Resident Evil game. Oh. They said it looked a little too different, so then they created Onimusha instead.
I guess it makes sense.
But yes, the engine these days, going around slaying demons in feudal Japan as a samurai, sign me up. I love games like that.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm in. Bring it on.
Sign me up. And y'all see that beautiful arcade layout. Look at X-Men right there, The Simpsons. That's, you see, for people who don't know what an arcade is, That's an arcade. This is where us kids used to go to, and we used to burn all of our quarters playing these games, man.
I can't believe we're in a world now where we have to explain what an arcade is. Oh my god.
Well, I'm pretty damn old, so
I'm right behind you. I'm right behind you, Ken. You're not that old.
Yep. But and then I got one last one here. Haunting Grounds. Capcom, another Capcom franchise. What are they doing? Like the Haunting Grounds, there was only one entry, right?
Yeah, there was. I think it was a spin-off actually of the Clock Tower games.
What the hell are they doing? Like, give us another one. Give us a second one. Like, it doesn't even have to be a remake, but I want to see what happens after that, you know? It's like Capcom has so many good franchises that they just not doing nothing with. The Breath of Fire series.
Oh, Breath of Fire, love that.
You know, that crap that they put on the mobile phone, that's not Breath of Fire, man. What the hell was that?
They put it on mobile? Really?
Yeah, they just call it Breath of Fire, and it's on. I'm like, nobody's gonna play that on a damn phone, man. You know, and it's just, you got these companies that are just not doing nothing with certain franchises, and I know a lot of people want to see it. I'm young, and it surprises me how often I have to explain what an arcade is. Cranky Dragon says, "Hey,
yeah,
you know, I invented that era years ago, brother. Like it's just, hey, you know, back in my day, we used to go to arcades." And we used to sit there and we'd be playing games like Mortal Kombat 2. You young whippersnappers don't know nothing about that. You with your fancy consoles, and y'all sit at home on your phones and everything.
Right.
You know, but yeah, those were fun times, man. Fun times when you had nothing to worry about as a kid. All you had to worry about was just what you were going to eat that day. And hopefully the person that was playing the game before you didn't have sticky fingers from all the candy they were eating.
Oh god, or sweaty fingers. That's also was gross when the buttons and the joystick would just be sweating, and you'd be like, man, this person was putting in hours. This person was putting in time on this.
Yeah, and it's like you get them sticky controllers and stuff, and I'm like, that's disgusting, man. It's like, ugh, man. Like, sticky, but you don't want to lose your place in line.
No.
Yeah, you're trying to do a fatality in Mortal Kombat, and the A button gets stuck.
Ugh.
Yeah, those were the days, I tell you. Anyways, though, let's move on here. Let me ask you a question, Miss Kelsey.
Yes.
What made you move from console to PC? I know it's an obvious question, but I want to give you the floor, and then I'll come in with mine.
Actually, I bounced back and forth. So, okay. So I am actually a PC gamer from birth, all right? I was born with a PC in my home, which you guys, like, nowadays, that's not a thing, but I was born in 1993. So it was kind of a big thing that you had a PC in your home still, right? Like, it was still getting early on to that, you know, when you would have a PC. But I remember growing up, what we had. First, we had a Super Nintendo. And then after that, we had, these are the only consoles I've ever had. Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, and a GameCube. That's what I had. But I think what made me abandon, so my final one was the PS2, and I played both of them. I played PC and I played computer, like, back and forth. But I think what made me abandon it was, once I got to a certain age, I realized, especially at the time, there were way more computer games. And I think with the advent of there being online games, but when I switched over, online games were mostly a computer phenomena, right? So I think that was what made me switch. And it's still true. It's still true. It's still true. There's still more games on PC. It's way better. You get mod support. Like, there's so much more. And that's why I'd never go back. I mean, the convenience is there, but I have an NVIDIA Shield, which it's like an Android box NVIDIA released. So for what I can do is I can set it up in my bedroom and I can actually have it cast my entire computer onto my TV through the NVIDIA Shield. So if I want the console experience, I just go and I do that and I can play on the couch or not the couch rather, on just chilling on my bed like it's a console, right?
It's nice. I mean, for me, the reason why I ultimately left, because I've had the Xbox, not that, I'm an Xbox fanboy or anything like that. It's just the Xbox consoles were always cheaper than the PlayStation ones. But I had the 360, I had the Xbox One, and then I had the Series X. One of the problems that I have with the Xbox is that it's too limited when it comes to audio options. Like this microphone that I have, the Shure MV7, you can't plug that into, even though it has a USB option, you can't just plug it into the Xbox. The USBs for the Xbox is specifically for powering things like charging or something like that. So it's very limited. I couldn't use my audio mixer. I can't use my Stream Deck that I have here. And I was like, you know what? I want to, if I'm going to be a streamer and make videos, I want to have, great content. And just, I don't want to have to backdoor my way in, like having to buy all of these extra stuff, like a splitter cable. And I got to buy a headset like this that has a detachable microphone. And then you got to buy, you got to buy the audio cable. So you plug it in here and then you got to buy the stupid piece for the Xbox controller just to hope that this microphone will work, which it didn't. And I never,
it didn't.
Yeah, I never liked that, and I'm like, now with PlayStation, you can, I don't know if this mic will work, but I know that you can just plug and play with certain microphones, but it's like, I'm like, plus customization, like streaming. I did start off streaming on the Xbox, but you can't do the overlays. You can't do all the fancy bells and whistles. And I'm like, you know what? Let me just move on, let me move up.
Way better on PC.
PC is just more, like you said, more customizable. You got mods that make things fun. It's fun running around in Resident Evil 2 Remake knifing people as Claire dressed as Sailor Moon. There's just something cool about that.
Right? What was mine? I was getting chased by Mr. X, who was the goose from Untitled Goose Games, who was just a giant goose, while I'm Isaac from Dead Space. Like, I can't get that anywhere else. All right? I can't. That's a great experience.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. So it's like, like I said, with consoles, and then the next thing here is like, this is tied into that. Why do we still have games that are locked at 30 frames per second and 60 frames per second in this day and age, where both the PS5 and the Series X can run games? I mean, well, it says it can run things at 120 FPS. Why are we still getting games that are locked at 30 frames per second? Nintendo Switch.
Oh, 720p, you mean? Is it 720p as well?
Yeah, 720p.
That's crazy.
30 frames per second. I'm like, yo, as advanced as consoles are in technology, yes, there should be no games. There should be none unless it's an older game, like an Alice the Madness Returns, something like that from back in the day. There should be no games that run at 30 frames per second or even 60 at this point.
I think they're just too ambitious with graphics. Like hate to put it this way, but I feel now like graphics are like a dick measuring contest. Sorry to put it that way, but that among like developers, AAA developers, and you can tell because consoles come with a graphics version, and like console games come with a graphics version and a performance version, and it's like they're making you choose. And I feel like the gap between PC and console, because everyone always says like every year, oh, console's catching up to PC, and then they release a new console, and then by the end of its life cycle, like it's nowhere near same as PC. It's nowhere near the same quality as PC, right? I think they're way too ambitious on it.
That's true. I mean, for the most part, you do have some games that run better on console than PC. I mean, Dead Space comes to mind. You know, it does run better on console than it does on, and I'm talking about the remake. We'll get to that one. But you do have some games like, you know, like what was it? The last Batman Arkham game runs way better. There's no problems on the console. But when they released that last one for PC, oh my God, it's virtually unplayable.
I don't think they want to test it anymore, though, right? Like, when you develop for console, you only have one system and one set of hardware. But, like, they don't care. They just, like, the developers just put out, all right, this is your min and these are your max requirements. And at this point, they're not testing for all the different setup on rig. And yeah, then you get like Dead Space, where it just like you have to jump through hoops to make it run. You have to jump through hoops to make it run. It still doesn't 100%.
You shouldn't have to do that in this day and age. Like, they need to stop releasing games, you know, unfinished games or games with bad optimization. Like, come on now. You making people pay $70 for a game, put out a finished product. Nowadays, I think that these companies have it in their mind, well, we'll just release the game and then we'll patch it as we go along. No. Like, when you release a game, make sure that junk works. It's optimized for the Switch. It's optimized for, you know, the other console, the PS5 and Series X or S or the PC. Make sure all of that stuff is a finished product. I'm sick of companies doing that. You know, you shouldn't have to jump through hoops just to get a game like the Dead Space remake to work. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, they're just being lazy. And then you want to give up halfway through, and people that buy the games, they're stuck with a broken piece of shit.
They never came back and fixed Dead Space. They just left it. They just left Dead Space. It like they'll never fix it. Yeah, they just abandoned it.
They're done. They just gave up on it. They gave up on it. Yep. So if you buy the Dead Space remake, you're shit out of luck. And that goes back to when they did when Konami did the Silent Hill collection, Silent Hill 2 and 3 back on the Xbox 360 and the PS3. The PS3 version is okay, but the Xbox one, they released that with all kinds of bugs. It's all jittery. It freezes a lot. And if you buy that, they didn't even bother to patch it, so you're just stuck with how it looks.
It didn't get a patch. Now, wasn't that one of the times that Sony actually took refunds?
Yeah, they had no choice.
One of the few times? Yeah, one of the few times Sony accepted refunds, I think, was when the Silent Hill HD collection came out.
Yeah, and it's just, you know, I just hate it, like how these companies keep cheating us like that. You know, the nickel and diamond people, they're releasing unfinished products. And it's like it's getting more concerning considering we're entering a digital era. So if you get a game, I mean, if you're a PC player, you're used to this anyways, you know, buying games on Steam. But if you get an unfinished product, you're pretty much screwed. You're pretty much waiting for them to fix the damn game.
Exactly. And if they will, well, you never know. They might not.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, I hate being under the thumb like that, because you couldn't play this bullshit back in the day with the older consoles. You had to make sure that stuff was as good as it could possibly be. That doesn't mean that we didn't get bad games because of bad programmers and companies like LJN, but for the most part,
LJN. You just unlocked a memory for me, LJN. Oh man. Shovelware of shovelware. Ooh.
Yeah, those garbage, you know, God, Nightmare on Elm Street game and Friday the 13th and Karate Kid and just all of that garbage. Yeah. That nasty. Is burned into the retina, you know, like the inner machinations of my mind. I don't ever, you know, anytime somebody mentioned LJN, I just kind of get PTSD. I'm like, wait a minute.
Like, one of those words that summons you from your deep sleep, huh?
no, that's Resident Evil 5, but everything else, you know, I don't know what it
Yeah.
is with that. And people think I'm kidding. Like anytime, like if I'm asleep, I'm in a dead sleep and somebody mentioned Resident Evil 5 in your chat, I wake up just to say that is crap, that it's a shitty
Yep.
game, and then go right back to sleep.
I've had that many times. I've had that happen many times.
Yeah, it's like a
Many times.
It's like a buzzword to me. It's like, don't mention that. I'm like Brock from Pokemon. Don't mention that name. You know, but yeah, you know, I just wish that they would upgrade this stuff. No more 30 frames per second, no more 60 frames per second. 120 and higher.
That's all we need.
You know, definitely. Now, I want to take it in another direction here, because I want to talk to people who want to be streamers or who want to make videos and stuff, because I don't want people to get caught in that vortex of thinking, and we all did it at some point, that we need the most expensive equipment out there to have a good stream. Y'all don't need to have that stuff. Like, you don't need to go out and buy the most expensive microphone to have a great stream. You don't need to have the best PC or the best console out there. As long as you got clean audio, you know, you got to learn about things like limit. You got to learn about limiters. You got to learn about gain. You got to learn about noise gate, you know, noise suppression, things like that. You can get a not basic microphone, but you can get like a microphone that's like $99, like the Audio Technica AT2020. That's a damn good microphone. You can get something like that, and if you know how to edit and make your audio sound good, you're good. And as long as people can go to your stream and see clearly and see what you're playing, and it's not all janky, and I know that I say that clearly knowing that my stream messed up, so give me a break on that. That never
always happens.
That never happens to me. But yeah, you don't need the most expensive stuff out there. Now, if you have the money to spend to go get a short SM7B or you know, to get the latest graphics card and a PC or something, then by all means. But you know, you don't need all of this stuff. Oh, I need to go buy this and don't even know what it does. Just have, you could be on. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm just saying, like, the other thing is you might not even like streaming. You might not actually even like it. That's the biggest thing when people talk about you don't need fancy graphics. I mean, for God's sakes, I am a low effort streamer. If you must know, like, I don't do a whole bunch of stuff. I just don't. But the big thing, yeah, with the equipment, make sure you actually like streaming. Like, make sure before you drop a whole bunch of money, like, make sure. I started streaming with like this really shitty, it was probably like 600p webcam and a headset with the mic on it, right? Like, but it's true. Anyways, continue. But that's always the biggest one. Make sure you actually like streaming before you invest.
Or make sure you actually like making YouTube videos as well too, because it's very time consuming to do that. Like, the reason why I say I work on like my Resident Evil tier list, that took me 2 hours to do. You know, because you have to, you know, I like to take notes on my stuff, then you got to find photos and videos so that people know what you're talking about. And you have to edit, you have to clean up your audio and stuff. Now with this, you know, like I said, this is the Shure MV7, so this is like the little brother of the SM7B. Damn good microphone. And I got it connected to my audio mixer, but I still have, even without this stuff with USB, I know how to edit audio. Like I said, I know about noise gate, I know about a limiter, I know about compression, I know about gain. So even without all of this stuff, my audio will still sound damn good. So as long as you have good audio, as long as your people that come to your stream enjoy what they're seeing, and you're not boring as dishwater, and you're not overacting and all of that stuff, you should be fine. So start off with the basics, because when I first started off with YouTube, I had the shitty Blue Yeti microphone. Like I had that.
Picks up everything.
And I had Windows Movie Maker. Like that old software where it's like, hey, you know, let me just splice this in. I didn't know what the hell I was doing back then. But you can get good streams out of that, you know, if you know what you're doing. Anyways, though, since we're on this subject, do you have, like, for somebody that wants to stream, do you have advice for them for when they're about to start out?
Really, just that is the biggest. It depends on what you're streaming for. It honestly depends on what you are streaming for. But if you're just starting out, that's the biggest one. Make sure you actually like streaming. Make sure you actually like streaming. And I do say this as more from a growth mindset. It's just like, which again, I until June of last year, I was only streaming to like 2 people. But once it got better, I got to a point where I have like a very supportive community, and I can pay some bills and stuff with my Twitch income. So it's like working on that, and that's why I have 2 different sides to it. If you're just doing it for fun, just do it. Just do it. Don't worry about it. Like, don't worry about it. The discoverability in Twitch is shit anyway, sorry. Yeah, you know, that's a huge one. You have to network. You have to go to people's streams. You got to talk to people. And that's if you're looking to grow. You got to be nice. You have to, you know, use social media, whatever, right? But yeah, it's more if you're enjoying yourself. And if you are enjoying yourself, the best thing is, one, you need to have a schedule. It doesn't matter if you stream 1 day a week. It doesn't matter if you stream, you know, like every 2 weeks, as long as it's same time, same day. That's like super important. Obviously you don't stop talking. Never want to stop talking. I remember someone when I first started out, streamer who, like, you know, they're above and beyond me, but I was, you know, I asked them and they told me 30 seconds is death. And I realized that myself, because when I click in looking for streams, if no one's saying anything for 30 seconds, I'm going to dip. You know, I want someone to listen to in the background. The other thing is, it honestly doesn't matter what you're streaming. Doesn't matter what you're streaming. Doesn't matter what game you're streaming. It doesn't matter if you're good at it, if you're bad at it. People will be there for you first. Like, people come for you first, right? And just make sure, you know, just make sure you're entertaining. Make sure you give people something that they want to tune into, right? And that ties once again to the don't stop talking thing. It's hard. It's a skill you have to build. And then I think the third one is, I know a lot of people get like the anxiety, the pre-stream anxiety. And I had to fight that for maybe like 5 months until I finally got over it. But I will tell you, the one thing is, when you're first streaming, there's probably not going to be a lot of people watching. So that's your best time to get comfortable with it. And then once you are comfortable with it, it'll be so much easier. But use the beginning times when you're streaming to screw around, see what works, see what doesn't, right?
Yeah,
Those are kind of my biggest ones.
That's true. Like, you know, it's funny because when you mention that, it doesn't look like it. I don't, you know, on camera, for those of y'all that can see, I'm nervous every single time I get ready to stream. Every single time I get on here, like, in my mind here, it's like a damn roller coaster. It's like, don't be boring. Don't be boring. Say something. You know, it's like, you know, keep going. But my best advice is be authentic. Nobody likes a fake streamer, man. Like, I don't like the bad streamers, you know, but when I go into there and you see like these overly comical, like, say somebody's playing a horror game and, you know, they get a jump scare and they're screaming like, you know, an old 80s B movie. I'm like, come on, dude, it ain't all that serious, man. Like, come on now. That just take me right out of it. Be authentic, be true to yourself, and enjoy some Jill sandwiches that Spade put up there. But yeah, you know, don't worry about the audience. You know, don't worry about the audience, because when you first stream, like Kelsey said, you're going to be streaming for an audience of one. There are sometimes, even with me, I'll be streaming for 4 hours to one person, the ultimate lurker, Kelsey. Yep. You know, or Spades will pop in and be like, Hey, Kennedy, I'm going to torch you with Resident Evil 5, but I just want to lurk here. You know?
Yeah.
So there are going to be times like that. Don't let it get you. You know, as long as you're having fun playing the games and stuff and all of that, yeah, Spades is here. She's awesome. But as long as you're having fun, just enjoy what you do. Don't worry about being nervous. As you stream more, it'll get easier for you. You know, like just getting on here and just talking, you're like, oh man, what am I going to say? How am I going to say this? That's why take notes. Take notes. Like with podcasts like this, Kelsey would tell you, like, I'm ahead of the game. I got notes that go up to episode 8.
For days.
So
For days.
I'm far ahead of the curve. I already know what the hell I'm going to talk about in episode 4. You know, so I want to see you be you. Exactly. No, people can sense fakeness. You know what I mean? People can sense when you're not being real. And that just turns a lot of people off.
Yep. It also goes the other way. The other thing is like about the audience and stuff. Don't be afraid of people on the internet. Do not be afraid of people on the internet. That's like the big thing. And maybe because I'm a little bit spicy sometimes. So when people say things in my chat, like I don't know how much you guys know in my chat, but like for someone who plays the most disgusting horror games, I like to keep my chat like clean, like PG, right? So if someone, you know, people are making like dirty jokes, like, sorry, I have no point being like, ew, can you not say that? Right? Like, don't be afraid to stand up for yourself, like set your boundaries. Like, you're on the internet, people are going to talk shit to you at some point. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Don't be afraid of people on the internet.
And you're going to be open to critics. There are going to be people that are going to bash you. They're going to be people that are going to praise you. It's just part of being on the internet. It's part of streaming. And you just got to take it all with a grain of salt, you know? I appreciate everybody that shows up to my streams. Every single one of you guys, everybody in Kelsey's stream, I appreciate all of y'all because y'all took time out of y'all day to come see us. You know, so that's what I'm happy with. I don't care if it's only 5 people in chat. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to entertain the hell out of these 5 people. You know, that's my thought process.
It's the exact same for me. I'll be like dragging before stream. Like there's some nights I'm like, man, I don't know if I feel up to streaming. As soon as I go live and as soon as the viewers are showing up and everyone's chatting, I'm like, oh, I remember why I do this. Like, shout out to you guys because you guys are fantastic. Like, I know every single time if I'm like, oh yeah, like I'm not feeling this. As soon as everyone starts showing up and hanging out and chatting, I'm like, oh yes. Yeah, makes my night every night.
And you know, like if Kelsey doesn't feel like streaming, you just mentioned William Birkin and she perks up.
True. It's true. It's true. Or you just like dangle like, why don't you do an extreme? Every time I have like low energy, I do like an extreme run in Silent Hill 3.
Yeah, she's the queen of Silent Hill 3. Like there's nobody better than she is. She took it to the extreme 10. You got a lot of people that know when we go past the hard mode. You wusses.
Getting there.
You gotta pay.
I think my
PB
stream. Now is. I think I'm at 56 minutes on my PB for clear time on that.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Getting there.
You got to bring it back again because I was enjoying watching that one.
Oh, I know. I know.
Playing as Heather, Cheryl, Alessa, whatever the hell her name is.
All 3, technically, pretty much all 3 at once.
Yeah, definitely. Well, since we're on the subject of streaming, I have another question for you. What are some things you wish Twitch would improve on? Things that they can do to make this platform better and things that you wish that they would stop doing?
Oh man, I would love it if Twitch actually had an algorithm. That would be my favorite. That is the one thing that I actually want because like every other social media like has great discoverability. Like once you kind of fully release Twitch, it would be nice, no OBS all the way. But it would like it's just kind of like there's no discovery, and it's so difficult to, like, the suggested streamers are always like, I'm like, nah, that's not what I want. I'm trying to find new people to watch. Like, it's horrible. I would love it if it would have like an actual algorithm. Like, even if it's something as simple as, if I frequently watch streamers with certain tags, if it would like eventually over time kind of find the best matches for those tags of what I'm, like, there's no discoverability. You sort low to high in a category, you might get some, you might get some front row, but I can never tell, like, or front page, like, I can never tell what the reason why I'm on the front page. Like, when you go to analytics and it tells you like where you think so, I'll be like, why, like, what caused me? I don't get it. I don't know what. If anyone knows, I would love that, but I can never tell why things are getting promoted and pushed.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, a lot of the streamers that I found by accident, including your stream, Kelsey. Like
That's me too.
I was just, I'll be watching the streamer and then they go offline and then they'll kick me to somebody else. That's how I found Spades, by accident. It's like you should be able to put in tags and be like, okay, they bring up streams that have to do with your tabs, like what you like. If you like Resident Evil, if you like horror games, they should bring up streamers specifically for that genre so that you can check out people. But I have three things. I have three things that I wish Twitch would improve on. And again, I apologize that, we're not looking at chat. I do apologize for that. I'm glancing over. So if I don't answer what you're saying, I do apologize for that. I wish they would relax on muting audio when you have music in your games, like in your VODs. I really wish that they would relax on that, because it's really annoying for me, at least. That's why I took out the Resident Evil music for my Be Right Back screen, because they kept muting it in my VOD, and I'm like, that's kind of irritating. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I think in your VODs, I think if you put it as a secondary track and then have it not included in the VOD, it should not be there anymore. I used to have that too, frig. I actually, like, the music that I use, there have been times when it has been muted, and I go and I look at what, like, it's like, you were muted, because of this song, and I go and I click on it. It's not even the music I'm using. It's not even, like, I've gotten to the point now where quite a few of my songs, I've just mentioned them on, like, I've just messaged, the artist and asked them, so you do have written permission. But one I did, like, one dude, I suddenly got a silence VOD, and I was like, and I was like, what? And it was a remix that someone made of the dude's music that I have permission to use. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really annoying. And I'm like, it got to the point when I first started streaming, I didn't know why they were muting my stuff, but I was getting like all of these notices. I'm like, the person that flagged my stuff doesn't even know the song. So how am I getting in trouble, And that happens on YouTube as well too. Like, some of my videos, like, even though I have a soundboard and I'm playing sounds, some of those sounds on there, they will block it on YouTube. Like, I played the Mortal Kombat theme and it was like, oh, your video is blocked in Germany. I'm like, well, I ain't never going over there. But
I'm not going over there. Like, I get it that it helps you, so, like, you can't get sued or whatever. They can't take you to court over it, and that's, like, your protection. But, like, it's so bad at what it claims. Like, it's never perfect. It's, like, never perfect.
I'm trying to imagine me being taken to court by Ed Boon, the maker of Mortal Kombat, just because I played like a 15-second Mortal Kombat clip in my video. Man, that'd be funny trying to explain that in court.
Right? Unless it's Nintendo.
Well, Nintendo will sue over anything. They're going to old. Of course. They're going. That's why we don't really have emulation that much anymore, because Nintendo they're going to these websites and they're suing people who are making making hacks of like Metroid games and Mario and stuff like that and forcing people to take that stuff down. They're even suing people on YouTube who are playing their games. And I'm like, come on, Nintendo. Like, is it really that serious? They're keeping your old games alive, man.
They sue over anything.
You know,
They will sue over a patch of dust in your home that vaguely resembles Mario. Like, they'd sue you over that.
Yeah, you come home and then, I mean, you go to some of these websites now and it just goes to the Nintendo website.
Really?
Yeah, like some of those old ROM hacks and stuff like that, because I used to play a lot of that stuff, emulation back in the day. That's how I got exposed to a lot of the Japanese imports from Japan. And a lot of those
sites... Yeah, I know they took down a bunch recently. A bunch of ROM sites got taken down.
Yeah, thanks, Nintendo. Thanks, Nintendo. Anyways, enough of the side tangent. Number 2, another thing I wish they would improve on for Twitch. I wish that all streamers would get more time for their VOD storage. Like, I know, if you're partnered, you get more time for your VODs to be stored, but everybody should get that. 2 weeks is not enough for a video. It just never made no sense to me. How you're streaming a game and that video will only stay up for a week or two and then it gets taken down. Like, nobody wants to. That's why I upload all of my stuff to YouTube so that people can go watch it over there. But you shouldn't have to do that. Like, your video should just be there so that people can go back. You shouldn't have to download your video and then upload it to Twitch.
I think if you highlight it, I think it does. I think if you highlight it and then put it in like a collection, depending on like what games, I think highlighting it does keep it. I just haven't done that because, well, I'm a low effort streamer, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's just kind of annoying. Like, your videos should just be there until you decide to delete them, or at least give them longer than 2 weeks. That ain't nothing, man.
Yeah.
Especially when you're playing a game like the Division 2, which I'll be playing that game probably until I'm like 60 years old. That's how long it is. But it would be nice because not a lot of people like YouTube. They'd be like, all right, I'll just go back into his history and just, watch his videos from there. So that's one thing. And the third and final thing, I wish they would have more strict policies for these damn bots that are going into streams and trying to sell us stuff.
Oh, I know.
Like this, sorry about that. That was my keyboard here. I got 2 keyboards sitting here, one for the other PC here and then one here, my gaming. Yeah, technology, folks. I'm all about it. Anyways, though, it's pretty annoying. I think there should be like an auto ban for stuff like that. Like, they flag for everything else, but not bots that are going in there trying to sell you stuff. Hey, I do artwork. You want to buy this? Or stuff that has nothing to do with your stream. Why isn't there policies in place that ban these people automatically?
Ugh, bots since the beginning of the internet, I guess. Been an issue, but man, yeah, they're annoying. I finally changed like my chat settings, I think. And still I get some. I got like 2 at once the other day, which is amazing because like you need to at least have an account that's like 3 months old if you don't have verified number. But I was wondering, maybe they got hacked. Maybe they're hacked accounts because they didn't look like, they actually looked like legitimate accounts. But they were literally trying, I forget what they were trying to sell, like view bots or something. I don't know.
And most of my stuff is always selling like, artwork, digital art. And I'm like, how many people I banned because of that? I'm like, dude, don't come in here with that stuff. I'm the nicest guy you ever meet, but I'm no fool either. Like, you ain't gonna con me, man. Hey, Lori, welcome into the chat. Welcome in. Hi, Lori. Thank you for stopping by. I hope everything is well with you. Yes, so those are the 3 things that I wish Twitch would make better, so that streaming would be a better experience for me, at least.
Lori. Yeah, exactly.
Now, I want to talk about something else here, because me and you, we could go back and forth on this. Now, you said in your stream, I believe yesterday, you said when somebody asked you what you thought was, which version you thought was better of Dead Space, you said the remake. For me, honestly, I think the OG is better. After looking at all of, the bad optimization, the bugs and glitches and stuff, I can't even bring myself to go buy that game. Can you explain why you think the remake is better?
Oh, this is the optimization actually was not what I was like. I wasn't considering that when I say I prefer the remake, not the optimization. But it is a better remake. Well, one, if you play the remake and then you go back and you play the OG, you can see it's pretty much 1-to-1. But what they did is, I think it's better because they took all of the design choices they used in Dead Space 2 and they didn't change them. They put them into Dead Space Remake. And then they got rid of like the stupid asteroid cannon section, which I don't know if you've ever played Dead Space on PC, but it requires you to like move with both your mice and click both your mouse. But like it was horrible. It was horrible. But obviously optimization wise, Dead Space Remake is disgusting, right? But it was a very, very faithful remake. It was. It was just hindered by the fact that it's you just have to put in a lot of work for it, which is stupid. It should not, like, especially because it's CPU intensive. But like, I don't think I need higher than a Ryzen 7 5800X, do I? Like, I should, you know what I mean? Even it's just poorly optimized. It's so bad. But in terms of like the actual
you want stars?
game and the actual
I'll give you stars.
Design choices and the art, like, it's great. But
thank you for
the optimization now.
Thank you for subbing again, Lori. I love you. Thank you very much. That's my daughter from another. She's a good girl. Thank you for the 3-month subscription. Thank you. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like if I'm gonna play Dead Space, I'm just gonna go with the tried and true, because I'm not gonna be fighting with that damn game to get it to work. Now I have a Ryzen 7 5700. That's what I got in my PC right now, and it runs all of my games flawlessly on the highest settings. I'm not fighting with Dead Space, the remake. The hell with that.
And that's what I'm saying. We almost have the exact same CPU, right? And it's like every other game you can run max. You can run max, and it's like a breeze. Like but if you actually want the best Dead Space experience, you play 2. You play Dead Space 2. That's the best experience.
You can buy Dead Space 2 for like $2, like right now.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, yo,
I forget. I think maybe it was last year. EA was selling Dead Space. Let me see how much it still goes. Was it go for right now?
Well, I go to CD Keys for my stuff, like,
Yeah, I do too.
If you guys want to do that,
but on Steam, on Steam it's still $20.
Yeah,
for Dead Space 3.
If you are a PC gamer, go to CD Keys or go to Play Asia.
Yep.
They're always much cheaper.
G2A.
Because Steam can still get you with that stuff. They got a game that's like 20 years old that they're selling for like $30. Like, give me a damn break, man.
Right.
But I'm probably going to play the original. Like, I know a lot of people's like, oh, it looks dated. I don't really think that it looks that bad for a 2008 game.
No, it doesn't. Oh, no, it doesn't. It doesn't. I don't think so either.
I just think people got spoiled with today's graphics, that they're like, oh, if I can't see the writing on that little can on the ground there, that it's not good graphics. Like, get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
The Evil Within came out, I think, 2014. That game looks better than some of the games out here now.
Silent Hill 3 looks better than some of the games that came out, and Silent Hill 3 is the best looking game on PS2. Like, hands down.
You think it looks better than Onimusha Dawn of Dreams?
I think so.
You think it looks better?
I think just for the level of detail.
You think it looks
very detailed game.
You think it looks better than Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3? Like, come on now. Oh, that game. Oh, that
I
brings
still
back
think it
memories.
is.
Ooh, I gotta go back and play that game. I used to play the hell out of Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3.
I remember that growing up. Go over to
Yeah.
my buddies and play that.
But yeah, you know, it's just, I'll probably go back and play the original. And the same thing with Dead Space 2. And it's a controversial thing. A lot of people saying they want a remake of that. I don't think we need one. I think Dead Space 2 holds up just fine. Even up to this day, it does not need a remake.
What is Black and wait? What Black and PS2 probably have the best graphics in PS2? What do you mean, Atomic Cat? I'm not sure what you mean.
Yeah, it's just kind of, you know, those are some games that I just think they just need to leave it alone. Now, if they can do HD remasters, like they can just, scale up.
It's an FPS game. Okay.
They can scale
Sorry, you
up
said
the
it's an
games.
FPS game.
I'm sorry?
Go ahead, sorry. Sorry, Atomic Cat just said Black is an FPS game. I've never heard of it.
Yeah, well, if it's an FPS game, I damn sure didn't hear about it because I don't play FPS games. The only one I ever played was Cry of Fear, and that's the only one I'm going to play. Just too disorienting for me. Anyways, let's move on here because now I got Kelsey's notes up here as well, too.
My notes, yes.
You wanted to talk about game collectors manipulating the retro gaming market. I'm going to give you the floor on that one.
Well, all right. So I think it's pretty much well known that retro game collection is a scam because you get Mario 64 selling for like millions or whatever. Like you go and you look on eBay and there's always for retro games, there's always listings for games that are like $1,000 up to like $1 million. And it's like, and some of them say they've been sold. They do get sold. There are sold listings for that. And I always wondered, like I always knew that it was a speculative market, right? Like people buy old retro games and they just hold on to them with the idea, that's a speculative market. What I didn't know is there is like an entire scheme. I think it was it had to be don't know, it was a few years ago. There was actually this huge expose that came out with the fact that what's actually happening is it's between companies that do grading, which I understand when you're grading, like baseball cards, like that makes sense, right? Why would you grade a video game? Like you can't fake video game. It's very hard to fake a video game. It's very hard to have, and I just never saw a point to it. But I guess what is happening is there was a grading company and an auction company, and what they were doing is thank you, Brizzle, thank you. Water Games Grain Company, yeah. And they've turned it into the stock market. I didn't know that. It's basically turned into a stock market where people will invest in a game, right? And then after they get a certain amount of investors, they go and they try and sell it. And obviously they get a return on it. And and grain companies, like it was a whole scheme. It's been like a whole scheme that's been going on. That's why you find games, that are that much. But on the other side of it, just like game collection in general, even for the end user, like you guys this is my hot take. I don't see a point in collecting games that you're not going to play. That's my hot take. I'm sorry if you're a game collector. I'm not exactly like I do collect things, but in terms of game collecting, I never understood why you would collect games. If anyone here collects games and has a good reason that they can explain to me, I would like to hear it, but I've never seen the point of that. Really.
Well, you have people that collect things. They want to keep it in mint condition just in case they ever have to sell it. Because of course, things that are in perfect condition sell for more money. So when you look at it from that standpoint, I can understand why people collect older video games. You don't want no wear and tear. because it goes for a lot of money, And most people that collect video games, they get like a collector's edition, but they still have the regular game that they play on their console. They just have the collector's edition, in the background. So a lot of people, like, say you get Resident Evil 4, back in the day, you had the Resident Evil 4 with the chainsaw controller and all of that stuff and Leon's jacket that they had. So people would buy that and they would just keep it on display. They wouldn't even open it. And then they would just have the regular game.
That makes sense. That makes sense, though. When it comes to like collectibles and stuff, that makes sense to me. I understand that very special edition games, but I have known people who like just regular games. I've known people who have like 2 or 3 copies of the same game collected for some reason. And I just don't get it. All I know is, like, I don't get it in that purpose. So that leads me to not actually get it when there's a whole scheme going on that people are inflating the price of games, because who's going to pay for it? Especially with retro games, like I could go, like, half these games I was seeing, I could go back to my parents' house and dive into my giant, like those big tub of games, and apparently I could be a millionaire. Apparently I could just go be a millionaire. I got SNES games, I got N64 games, like.
I can tell you why people do that. It's the same reason why whenever something gets ready to come out, like limited edition, like I'll give you an example, the NES Classic and the Super NES Classic, you have a lot of people that will go and buy bulks of that stuff so they can put it on eBay and sell it for ungodly prices,
Yeah.
So that in itself is irritating. That's why for a long time people couldn't find those, because you had people that were going in buying them for $50 a pop and then putting it on eBay for $100 or $500 or $600. So you have a lot of people that do that. So when you see people with multiple copies of stuff, most likely that's probably what they're doing.
Hell, they were doing that with the PS5. Remember how bad that was at the start? With PS5s, like people literally had bots set up just to buy them when they restocked so they could turn around and scalp them. Like, I can remember it was a huge thing if you had a PS5.
That's true.
At like the very beginning.
And they did that with
yeah.
Remember when they had the PT demo, the Silent Hills? Yep. And when they canceled that game, people were taking the demos and taking the PS3 that they had. What was it? PS3 they had it on, or PS4? Which one was it? And they were
PS3.
Yeah, they were taking the PS3s and putting it on eBay and all of that stuff and selling it for ridiculous prices for a demo. And if you're dumb enough to buy that, I mean, because my grandfather always said,
"Where's the PS4?"
My granddad always.
Oh, here's PS4. Sorry, I just looked it up really quick. $1,000 it's going for. It's a PS4
ridiculous.
With PT on it. $1,000.
Ridiculous.
Anyways,
that's my grandfather used to always say, money don't make people smart. Because you have people.
Quite the opposite.
I remember when people were buying like the cardboard cutout controllers when the Wii U was about ready to come out, and people were buying that crap off of eBay. I'm like, y'all some of the dumbest idiots on the face of this earth. What the hell are you gonna do with a cardboard cutout of a controller, man?
Oh man,
it's just like back in the day. Remember the plastic cell phones with the chewing gum in it? Imagine
I remember those.
Imagine a grown ass man like me walking around pretending like I'm talking on that phone and junk.
Oh my god, like a Fisher Price phone.
Yeah, it's like, come on, man. But yeah, definitely retro gaming. That's why people turn to emulation. But now, since companies like Nintendo have made that almost impossible, if you want the older games, you're gonna have to put the money up to buy it. You have no choice.
Yeah, exactly.
And they know that, and that's why they drive these prices up. If you really want it, you're gonna have to spend $500, $600, $1,000 just for a game that they could easily just put out for, like, I would even pay $20. Like, if they said, hey, here's Nintendo, here's Mike Tyson's Punch Out, I paid $20 for that.
Oh yeah, of course. And then the OG goes up for like goes up by $1,000.
It's just
Or it breaks it, maybe.
it's annoying. They definitely cheat the hell out of us. Now,
Right?
let's move on here because there's one that caught my eye. That's absolutely true. When you wanted to talk about how most games no longer have demos, only cinematic trailers.
Yeah. So like the demo thing. Thankfully, demos have been coming back. I noticed that. Like Resident Evil 4 had a demo. I think Dead Space even had a demo. Like demos are coming back, but it's still, that used to be a normal thing. You could get demos in boxes of cereal. You could get and I've even heard people say, like, people who pirate games, they say they use it as demos as well, just because they need to see if the games will actually run, which totally makes sense, right? Like, how are you going to know if a game is going to even run on your system? How are you going to know if you actually enjoy the game? But no, they decide to give you, like, our next subject, they decide to give you gameplay trailers that don't even have the gameplay in it.
Yeah.
They don't give time to gameplay.
Square Enix, Sega, and you get fooled by that stuff because that's one thing. Square Enix has always been good at that. They put out these trailers that look like movies, and the game don't look nothing like it. The game don't play nothing like it. You don't even know what it is, and that's how people got screwed with Sonic 06 when Sega put that out. Remember that crap? It's like, oh, this game looks so great, and then you get your hands on the real game, and it looks like trash. I'm like, it don't look nothing like the trailer they put out. And that's, to me, that's like the ultimate side of clickbaiting.
Oh, I know. And like I said, sometimes they will release the cinematic trailers. They'll open pre-orders, and then they will release the gameplay trailers. And I actually believe Silent Hill 2 did that. I believe pre-orders were actually starting before they released that god-awful gameplay.
Yeah, that's what makes me not trust it. I mean, I hope, because I've been waiting for a new Metal Gear game. I guess you could say it's new. It's basically a remake of Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, but I never liked that. That's why I always wait a little bit. Like, I never buy games when they first come out. Like, I always wait. I always do my reviews, my research, look up how the game looks, because I don't care if they come out with trailers. Remember when Bethesda, what was it? Who is it Bethesda that owns? No, because I remember it was the Diablo. Who owns Diablo? Blizzard owns Diablo. Yeah, when they came out with that, it's like, oh, we got Diablo this, and then it turned out to be a mobile game.
Oh yeah, and that was awful. They were booing him. Like, they were booing. Like, that, if you ever get a chance, actually, anyone, if you've never seen the video of when they announced that, oh my god, it's the most painful thing you've ever seen. I am not kidding you. Like, they announced it, and then, like, everyone was kind of like, what? And then you have that glorious quote where on stage they're like, what? Don't you guys own phones? That was the nail in the coffin, and then they start booing.
What my favorite part in that one was? When they got to the question part and that guy stands up, he's like, is this a really bad April Fool's joke?
Oh yeah, I know. That was so painful to see, like, just the way the entire room, like, everyone was pumped, and it was a mobile game, and they're like, and didn't it turn out to just be, I think it turned out to be a reskin of, like, a Chinese mobile game or something. I'm pretty sure it was that.
It's like most mobile games. Like, most mobile games are just copies of other games. That's just how it is. But, the whole point is, it's like, they're not giving you anything. Like, how can you release a cinematic trailer with no gameplay? Like, they didn't used to do that back in the day. Nintendo, well, we had to read magazines. You had to get Nintendo Power and stuff, and they would actually include pictures of what the game actually looks like. And they do that on mobile. I hate that. How many times have you seen these mobile game trailers where the game looks spectacular? the stuff that they're showing you looks spectacular, and then it turns out to be like this little like 8-bit video game. I'm like,
or it's like Candy Crush or something. I was gonna bring that up. Yes, I know it makes it look like the most interesting game, and you're like, oh, this looks cool, and then yeah, it's like Connect 4, Candy Crush.
and I'm like, dude, like, why bait people like that? Like, I can't tell you how many times I'm like, yo, this anime style looks great, and then all of a sudden it's like, you know, like Final Fantasy 1 graphics from Nintendo.
Exactly.
And it's like false advertisement. Y'all can't be doing that to people, man. And then,
That's
like
what
you
I'm
said, with
saying.
the pre-order, so you expect for people to pre-order your game. They don't even know what it looks like. They don't even know what the gameplay is. And you think people are just dumb like that. They're just gonna pre-order just based off the name alone for a game that may not even come out for the next 3 years.
Right? Silent Hill.
And there are people that will do that,
Two.
because you know there are people that will do that, and it's just, I hate to say it, but like I said, money don't make you smart.
Nope.
You know, like you
And
can announce a game and people will put money before the thing. That's why a lot of those people got conned with like the you know, like when they were doing the video game consoles and they were looking for people to, you know, investors and stuff.
yeah,
Like the
exactly.
I forget what that site is called. GoFundMe or something like that. What is it?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yep, GoFundMe.
And
Or Kickstarter.
Kickstarter. People will put money towards a console where they don't even know what it looks like. They didn't even see the finished product, and they put money towards it. And I'm like,
And they
y'all,
got scammed.
I don't put my money nowhere blindly at all. I need to know what the hell I'm buying.
Exactly. Yeah, and so many people have been scammed by those.
Yeah, Atari. I remember when they kept going forever talking about they was going to come out with a new Atari system and that they needed funds for that. And then when they met their the amount of money that they needed, they never came out with a system. They just took a picture of a old what was it, Atari Jaguar. Like it was an Atari Jaguar case, but it was clear, like with see-through parts and stuff. That's all they gave people.
When everything was see-through. I remember when everything was see-through. But
dirty.
Still, like,
it's dirty and it's false advertisement and it's screwing people over. And I just wish people would think more before they put their money out for crap like this, because if you keep doing that, you keep paying for the stuff, these companies are going to keep screwing us. They're going to keep doing that. Well, it's obviously okay. And that's why we still got DLC and we still got day one DLC and all these microtransactions, because people keep paying for it.
Yeah, exactly. Someone's buying it. Someone's going to buy it. It actually, there was the other one, and we're going to be getting to this part. We're going to actually be getting to this subject in a second, but I remember Bethesda for Fallout 76, I believe it was. I think it was 76, where there was those collectibles, and I believe like they were low quality as hell. Like the bag that they gave you was like this polyester piece of crap. Like I'm pretty sure it was 76, because you know Bethesda hasn't learned.
Bethesda, y'all need to hold this L, man. Y'all need to hold that L, man, because it's all kinds of bullshit. How you guys release. I mean, you got Fallout 4, but they're just doing an update now, like you said, where they're introducing 60 FPS into the games. Seriously? What did I just say at the beginning of this podcast? Why 60 frames per second? The PS5 and the Xbox Series X both say that they can run games at 120 FPS, and y'all give us that?
Right? Oh yeah, and that update broke so much. There's all the mods are broken. Yeah, Atomic Cat. Yeah, they're all broken. There's actually Fallout London. Check it out. But it's like an ambitious project, completely wrecked now. Like they have to start all over, because like who thought that they would do another major update to Fallout 4? Well, once they started doing the obviously. Once they had the Fallout TV show, I can see why. But like, who would have thought they would have updated Fallout 4 in such a way at this point, right?
Well, they did that.
It just works.
They did that with Resident Evil 2, the Resident Evil 2 remake and 3 remake. They had the older versions where if you go to Nexus mods, a lot of those mods don't work for
the non-RTX.
Yeah, the non-RTX. So if you have like the ray tracing version, a lot of those older mods don't work because the new update broke all of those. Now there are some that are starting to come out, but for the most part, you'll see a whole bunch of crap. Oh snap, I can be Isaac from Dead Space, or I can be this person that doesn't work on the newer versions of the games. And that's annoying because if you're someone that mods games and you create this stuff, it's got to be frustrating because now you got to go through and create a whole new one with all new coding and stuff. And it's like, it just takes the fun away, especially if you're a PC gamer or something like that. A lot of what makes the Elder Scrolls Skyrim game fun is the mods.
Yeah, exactly. Thankfully with 2, I know with 2 they did, like, Steam does usually, if it's a single player game, there are options to install, like downgrade it, because I had to do that for Resident Evil 2, but it still kind of sucks.
I'm not doing that because I'm not going back to the old version because the old version is stuck at 60 frames per second, whereas the RTX version of Resident Evil 2 and 3 is 120.
Yeah, right?
So I'm not going back down to that. That's why I refuse to scale back down. You shouldn't have to do that.
Yeah, and man, like Bethesda though, like back on that, Bethesda they're no longer being forgiven for the bugs, and they really need a new game engine. They really need a new game. Okay, you can tell me that they made the Creation Engine 2, but it is not a brand new game engine. That was a horrible part of Starfield. Like, who still talks about Starfield? Starfield was like, everyone was so pumped for Starfield. Everyone was like hyped about it, and it got good reviews by reviewers. But then people who actually liked Bethesda games and fans and stuff, I think that was the final time that worked. And I forget what one of the people who worked at Bethesda said, but they pretty much, I forget what they said, but it was pretty much just them saying, like, pretty much go screw yourself. Like, do you want a game or do you want like a well-run game? It was, if anyone knows that quote offhand, but I just, like, it's, I don't know. I guess there's quirkiness in the fact that their engines are broken to hell, but it's finally, I think we've gotten to the era where they have to catch up now.
Well, I mean, you got people they're paying $70 for a game. You better get a new engine and fix that stuff. It's not funny to get a broken game, as I said before. No. They need to fix this stuff. They can't keep relying on broken engines like Skyrim. Like, even though Skyrim is this, well-revered game, a lot of people love it. It's a broken game. There's a lot of glitches in it. I play through that, and sometimes I teleport to a part of the map that I'm nowhere near it. I'm like, what the hell just happened? You got dragons flying backwards. I'm like, y'all,
dragons flying backwards.
Yeah, it was funny. It was funny for when, that era. But come on now, it's 2024. It's time to get it together. When they come out with the next Elder Scrolls game, I don't want to see none of that bullshit in there.
No, it's unacceptable. And Atomic Cat actually said something. He said, there's a rumor that Creation Engine that was used in Starfield contained the same kind of mod that makes Skyrim playable. Oh man, there's actually, this is almost like completely unrelated. Sorry, my rabbit was getting into paper. The dragons still fly backwards. Amazing. That's actually an aside, but I think it was Manhunt, I believe. They actually upload like the cracked version with, like, I believe that's what it was. And so for years, the game was treating you, if you bought Manhunt, the game was treating it as if you were pirating it. So people couldn't even progress through like certain spots because the game thought you were pirating it and would lock you out of it. So I would totally believe that they used a mod from Skyrim that makes Skyrim work.
But I mean, when you have it to the point, that's they don't think that that's a problem, that people have to make mods to make your game work properly.
Right?
I mean,
Right?
come on.
I guess they just depend on it at this point.
You know, and it's like, that's for me, if I'm creating video games and I'm a video game developer and all that, if somebody has to fix my game for me, then why do I have a job?
Exactly.
Just hire that person.
And it's even worse than, it's even worse like early access games. You're going to run into bugs, but you're getting it early, but at the same time you're kind of helping them fix the bugs, through feedback. But then with modding, you're literally fixing it. Yeah. You are doing their own job, even worse.
And then you got
not even playing the game.
You got those people like, well, if you don't like it, don't buy it. That's the problem, dummy. Like, I do want to buy the games. That's the whole point. I want to spend my money to buy these games, but I'm not going to buy broken crap. I'm just not going to do that. And especially if you're a PC player, you can't get a refund for that. For the most part, you buy a broken game on Steam, you stuck with it.
Yeah, I think it's 2 hours. I think you only get like 2 hours of playtime.
It's like
I think
I hate when people do that. Well, you don't have to buy it, then if you don't want to play it, or they got this tribalism where it's like, if you say one thing bad about Nintendo, you say one thing bad about Sony, you say one thing bad about Microsoft, it's like they come after you. I'm like, yo, I love video games, period. And I think that I should be able to call out bullshit when I see it. When you have games that don't work, or when you're overcharging for crap that you shouldn't be overcharging for, like $5 for a damn costume.
Right?
That doesn't mean that I hate the games, dummy. It's just that I'm calling out the companies for pulling bullshit like that because they're cheating us.
Yep, of course they are. Like, yeah. I think with PC it's becoming worse and worse. Like, especially PC, because it kind of goes back to the start of like what we've been talking about, how it's very easy to optimize a game for a console because it's only one set of hardware, but they don't care to try and optimize things for PC. It's even rare to find PC only games that aren't AAA games.
Yeah, that's true. It's kind of drying up, which brings us to the next part. When you were about to talking about why AAA horror games aren't scary anymore.
Yeah, that's a huge thing. And I'm not even talking as someone who's desensitized completely from horror games. I'm just saying, like, in general, like, I don't think, like, they're not scary anymore. They can't be scary anymore. They are really tame. I think the most brutal I've seen in AAA horror is Resident Evil, like the remakes. Yeah. And just like the gore in Resident Evil 2, but that's about it. I don't feel like they're scary anymore.
Yeah, I think that horror games, along with other gaming franchises and genres, they become commercialized, I guess you can say, where they have to follow certain guidelines, which indie games, they don't have to. Indie horror games developers, they don't have to follow those, so they can pretty much make things as gory as they see fit.
Exactly. I will always use Visage as my example. Like, I remember starting that game, and you're literally a dude, and your family's tied up, and you watch when he shoots your wife and his 2 children in the head, point blank. And when I saw this at first, I'm like, they're not going to show that. And then I was like, oh, right, this is an indie horror, and it's stuff like that. Like, that would never fly. And that ended up being the scariest game I've ever played. Well, that ended up being the scariest game I ever played.
I think that started right around like the PS3 era, where they started to censor things. Like, if you remember Remember between Resident Evil 4 and 5. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. Like when the chainsaw Dr. Salvador, when he would come after you and he would cut Leon's head clean off, like you see all the blood and gore.
Roll away.
Go back and watch that in Resident Evil 5. Like when the chainsaw Manji comes after you and he cuts you, like there's no blood, your head doesn't even come off. You know, so it's just like they censored that. The same thing with the Dead Space remake. Like, remember all of the crazy kills in the original Dead Space, where Isaac would just
read my mind.
He would just break to pieces on the simplest stuff. They don't even have that.
Oh man, that's what I'm saying. Or like the pukers would like grab you and start puking all the acid into your face, or he'd get caught in the like when you blew out a window, his arms would get caught in it. He's trying to go out and they just break off. Like, don't have that anymore.
Yeah, it's like,
don't even have that anymore.
And then, like, you have these games that rely too much on jump scares, and once you become desensitized to that, it really loses its luster after that. I'm like, you can't rely on jump scares, like Five Nights at Freddy's. Yeah, when you first play through it the first time, but once you know what's in it, it really loses its luster after that point.
Yeah, it's true. Like, and Five Nights at Freddy is more just like you're anticipating it, right? But it's can't rely on jump scares. For me, like, real horror has to be a good story. The real horror is always in the story, and I like psychological horror. So you throw me the horrors of the real world, and I'll be all about that. But yeah, it's just even that. They even have to censor that. They even censor horror that would happen in real life, Yeah,
but at this point, like, what could you possibly do that hasn't been done already?
That's fair. I have it here. One thing though is the rise of indie games, and now it's becoming much more common for the retro style. And I have found now that indie games are so accessible, there's actually a lot that you can do with games. There's a lot that you can do with games. It's just now, obviously, among everything, some of them are trash, right?
Yeah.
Some of them are absolute trash. And then you get like a lot of good indie gems. There are a lot of good ones. And I think that it's harder to find them. It's hard to find them because it's PC. Like, there's millions of games on Steam, right?
Yeah,
there's millions of games on Steam. You find a random gem and it's good. But I think AAA has stopped caring.
Tormented Souls comes to mind when you say that, because Tormented Souls is one of the best horror games that I've ever played, and that's an indie game. Yeah,
and they were even technically reusing the formula. They were doing the old school survival horror, but they made it completely unique.
Yeah, they were creative with it. It wasn't just paint by number stuff, like you see with these horror movies in the movies now. It's like, I've seen all of this stuff before. Do something new. Like, they just keep rehashing the same thing over and over. So I'm like, I went to go see that movie Abigail. I mean, it's a decent movie, but it's like, okay, well, I've already seen this type of horror before.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I think that they're just, creatively bankrupt as far as the entertainment industry goes. They're running out of ideas.
That's why we're doing remakes.
Yeah, that's why I said at the beginning, I don't want Capcom to rely on that. I want them to have their back against the wall, these companies to have their backs against the wall, and to have to come up with something that's going to catch our interest. I don't want them to go back in time and just keep remaking the same games over and over again. That's why I will shout to the heavens, I don't want another Resident Evil 1 remake. We already had that.
It doesn't need a remake. It doesn't need one. Absolutely no.
Yeah, we already had that. We don't need another one. Yep. Oh, in today's graphics, no, do something new.
Yeah, don't touch Resident Evil 1. It's perfect. It's perfect. We don't need it.
Well, yeah, we are getting a return, because I see a lot of these indie games, like You got a lot of them that are like in the style of like the old Contra games or Metal Slug, you know, so you do have the retro style games coming back again, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. I think it makes it easier for indie people too, because it's way less work to do old school style graphics.
I
At least
apologize
from
for
what I
that.
think.
I apologize if
Oh,
you
it's
guys
okay.
hear the motorcycle outside. If you do hear that, you know, you got a guy out
You're
there
good.
that thinks he's bad to the bone, and he likes to rev up his motorcycle all the time. But do you think that? I mean, because I know you have a question here. Do you think that AAA developers are starting to die out and indie games
Oh
are going to be
yeah.
taken over?
Oh yes, yes. Final question here. Yeah, I do think so. I do think so. I think AAA is dying out because they only release they release the same game over and over and over. Look, look at like the Madden series. Same game. Any sports games. Just same game, different roster every year.
But
You
see,
know?
you can't use that as an example because I mean it's football. You know, you got football,
I
you know, you
know.
got basketball,
All
hockey and
right.
stuff. It's just
Then
of course
Assassin's Creed.
yeah. I mean,
Okay, that's fine.
taking
They just
sports
don't
games and
innovate it.
taking sports games and putting them on the side because I mean it's football. I mean, it's going to be the same thing. Same thing with the WWE 2K games. What else could they possibly do besides just update the roster? That's it.
I know. I only say like I had to watch. I was with someone who loved the show, and every time like MLB the show, and like I just like it felt the same as every other game. But okay, that's fair. All right, you know what? They can't change that. But what about Assassin's Creed number 500? What about Final Fantasy number 500? What about Call of Duty number 500? Actually, like
Uh,
what, I feel like like it's the same thing, and the turnover rate of it is way too fast. Like some places like Nintendo, of course, with Pokemon, who has like a year and a half development cycle, and they're
yep.
just trying to churn it out, right? And that's the trend that I see with the AAA. They're not trying to really change anything. They're just trying to churn out the next one.
That's true. And every single Call of Duty game, along with every other first person shooter, looks exactly the same to me. Like you can put, I'm
It
sorry,
does.
you can put all of those games in front of me, and I wouldn't be able to tell you what the hell it is. Like they all look the same to me. That is true. They do rely too much on that. That's why, like Capcom was doing that with the Street Fighter series for a while, where they had Street Fighter 4, then they had Super Street Fighter 4. Then they had Super Street Fighter 4, the arcade edition. And I'm like, why are you releasing the same game over and over again? Just make
Good
Street Fighter
Lord.
5.
Right? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. When you can tell that it's literally the same game and the same engine. You can see that there's no actual change, even though it's been like 1, 2, 3 years since the last game came out. But you see that they're just adding something, which, God forbid I say this, but this could have been a DLC.
Yeah, that's true. And, you know, the Assassin's Creed thing, like, I never really played any of the Assassin's Creed games except for Liberation, and that game sucked. But it all looks the same to me. Like, it seems like, you know, they're taking the Apple approach to everything, where they just release the next game and they'll introduce one new feature, but it's still the
Yeah.
same game. And I'm like, okay, well, $70 for this? I'm like, I'll just keep the old version. Like, I still got WWE 2K23. I'm not buying 24 mainly because it's full of bugs, and we'll get to that in another
Why are you saying
conversation
that?
in the next
Yeah.
episode. But
Yes.
I still got 2K23 because it looks exactly the same. It looks
Plays the
exactly
same,
the
looks
same to
the-
me. I'm
yeah.
like, why am I gonna pay $70? I like Cody Rhodes, but he ain't worth no $70.
No, exactly. Exactly. They make you buy the same game twice with like slightly different coat of paint.
Yeah, and Nintendo used to do that because remember the 3DS days when they came out with the original 3DS, then they came out with the 3DS XL, and then they came out with the new 3DS. When they came out with the new 3DS, then developers started making games that only worked for that one.
And then they got 2DS. And there
Yeah.
was no one without 3D. Yeah, Nintendo's the master at reselling you. And then Nintendo expects you to buy the exact same games again.
Yeah.
That's my favorite. They resell you the same game on every console.
Well, I mean, Capcom is guilty of that because they put Resident Evil 4 on every damn console.
Everything.
They put
everything.
Bethesda, what was Skyrim, they put it on every damn system.
Yep.
People don't realize that Skyrim came off of PS3 and they just kept porting it. You know, they ported it to PS4 and the Xbox One. Then they ported it to the newer console. And I'm like, okay, make something new. They have been relying on Skyrim since the PS3 era.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 4, I love Resident Evil 4. It's my second favorite. But they had it on GameCube. They had it on PS2. They had it on PC. They had it on PS3, I think they had the HD. And the Xbox 360. Then they ported it on the PS4 and Series X. And I'm like, now they got it on the Switch. I'm like, okay, they even got it on mobile phone.
Yep. And don't forget, like, the greatest hits edition, the re-releases for PS2 and stuff. Yeah.
Well, I kind of wish they would have stopped there because then they had to come out with Resident Evil 5.
Yeah. Yes, they did.
And Resident Evil 6. And I just kind of wish, like the Rocky movies, I wish that, you know, as I wish that Rocky would have stopped at Rocky 4, I wish Resident Evil would have stopped at Resident Evil 4.
It would have been fine. It would have
been perfectly fine. 5 didn't need to exist. 6 did not need to exist. 7 is boring as shit. 8 is just like a DLC of Resident Evil 4 anyways. So
it is. I think since then all the other games have been trying to be like Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, they're just trying to recapture that because a lot of people crap on 4, but 4 was the highest selling Resident Evil game that they ever had when it first came out. You know, when they finally put it on the PS2 and it blew up.
Yeah.
You know?
4 is also the reason why we have literally the third-person shooter genre.
Yeah.
Like, it revolutionized it.
Behind the shoulder.
There's so many games we wouldn't have. Yeah, over the shoulder third person. Like, it revolutionized it. May have not have been the exact first, but that brought us the OTS, yeah.
That is true. And it's like, it just seems like they've been on a snowball. Like, they've been up and down, because Revelations was pretty good. Revelations 2 is great. You know, but after that, they had to go back to the remakes because, like I said, those last 4 were not very good. And a lot of people, Resident Evil 7 is great. I think it's boring. That's just me.
It's repetitive.
It's the only Resident Evil game. It's the only game, period, where I fell asleep while playing it. I literally fell asleep at the part right before I met up with Jack. I was like,
oh my god, it's repetitive, and it won't even let you skip the damn cutscenes, so you even have to suffer through that. Spades
is a Leon. She's a Leon girl. They blessed us.
Oh, but look,
they blessed us by being able to look at Leon for the whole game. Oh, she loves him.
Oh,
you know, Leon is cool, but you know what, Spades? I got another video that I'm gonna be coming up with. Pretty soon. It's going to be a list of my favorite Resident Evil characters and least favorite Resident Evil characters, top 10s. I'm bringing it back. And you might not be happy where I put Leon.
I'll probably agree with that, but I'm a Chris Redfield girl.
Y'all know.
The old Giga Chad.
The old Giga Chad.
Giga Chad. Yeah.
Y'all already know. If I'm doing a top 10 of my favorite Resident Evil characters, y'all already know damn well who number 1 is. Who number 1 will always be my Jillicious. Jill Valentine is number 1. Oh, I love that woman.
I'm partial to William Birkin, you know.
He's on the list, but I don't know if you'll be happy.
That's fine.
I don't know if you'll be happy
Fine.
where his placement is.
It's fine. It's fine.
You know, but Jill is just great. I just love that Japanese / French chick. She's just badass. She just goes through and just kicks people's ass, man. Like, you see in Resident Evil 5, that was the coolest part. Like, when she was kicking both Chris and Sheva's ass, like doing all those kung fu moves and stuff. I'm like, yeah, she's taking down the Giga Chad that's on steroids.
I know, and that's the reason why if they were listen to me here, if they were to remake 5, they need to remake Code Veronica, because we did not get Giga Chad Chris without Wesker coming back. See, this is the timeline for Chris taking steroids. Resident Evil 1, Chris sees Wesker's tyrant, and he laughs at him, and it was set in stone the minute that I love the original voice acting where Wesker's like, Chris, stop it. And then he came back in Code Veronica and Wesker kicked Chris's ass. And then we see him in 5 and he's jacked as hell, ready to kick Wesker's ass. We need it.
I don't need Resident Evil 5 again. I don't need to relive that. I don't care. I don't care. Resident Evil 5 is ass. I don't need a remake. True. I don't need the original. Take that and burn it. If I had a gun, I'd put a bullet in the back of that idea's head, and that's it. No more Resident Evil 5. I don't even want to reference Resident Evil 5 ever again unless I'm kicking it while it's down, kicking a dead horse. That game sucks.
That's why I keep saying you need to have like a channel trailer. Just get a bunch of Resident Evil, CDs and just film yourself breaking them, taking sledgehammers to them. Perfect channel trailer. That's how everyone knows what you're about.
Yeah. Taking Resident Evil 5, there would be something so satisfying about just taking that and just crushing it like the Incredible Hulk. It's like, ugh.
We'll all crowdfund to. What is up, 8-Bit? What is up? Yeah. We should crowdfund it.
I would put Resident Evil 5 and 6 on the floor. I get up on that dresser and drop that Macho Man Randy Savage elbow on him. Freaking bam, break that junk up. You see me flushing Resident Evil 5 down the toilet in pieces.
Oh my god. Right?
That gives me ideas.
That's so funny.
I bet you
that gives you idea. I think that would be great. Yeah, and then just have one scene where you're just throwing the CD and that cuts across and it says Mr. Kennedy.
Yeah. Boy, I would get a lot of hate for that one.
Oh, it'd be fine.
Like, Resident Evil 5's not that bad, man. I think you're over-exaggerating. No, I'm not. It's sucks.
It's fun in co-op. It's fun if you play co-op.
If I hear that one more time, I'm going to start sending people emails with virtual slaps. They open it up.
If you play it co-op.
Yeah, they freaking open that junk up and then it's like a virtual slap.
It's a send someone. It's like, oh, you like Resident Evil 5 this much? Send them a box of it, yeah. And just your hand attached to a spring comes out and slaps you.
Yeah, so now I have to do a new trailer of me destroying Resident Evil 5.
You do.
And 6.
You do.
And 7.
Yes. Yeah, see?
Now the only reason why I won't destroy 8 is because of Lady D. Lady Dimitrescu. I actually like her.
There you go.
I actually got used to her calling me a stupid man thing in my soundboards.
I know. Yeah, you have that as a soundboard. That's funny.
Throw them in a bonfire. Nah, we got to be more creative than that. I'm gonna take a sledgehammer and bust that thing up. I'm gonna go all Triple H on it.
You gotta.
Yeah,
you absolutely have to.
Yeah, y'all giving me some ideas here. I kind of feel like I'm obligated to do it now.
You are. It's so on brand. You are.
Yes. But yes, we are at the end here. We went through everything that we wanted to talk about. I just want to give y'all a reminder. We are officially up on Spotify. So I will be uploading this 3rd episode. If you don't want to watch videos, it's audio only. So if y'all, like I said, you're on your way to work or you're pumping in the gym or you're cooking in the background, y'all can listen to us on Spotify. Head over. It's free. Show us some support. We also got the Hot Takes podcast email if you guys want to send in questions for us to answer on a podcast anytime. Like I said, keep it professional. Don't be too personal. But send us some Q&A questions and we'll answer it for you on the next podcast. But we are going to call it a day here. It was fun as always. I had a lot of fun.
Yes.
And we will
I appreciate everyone for stopping by.
Yes, and we will be back in 2 weeks.
We will.
On a Sunday. Unless Kelsey decides to start making it a weekly thing.
You never know.
You never know. You never know.
For now.
Thank you to everyone that showed up for the stream. I will be back here tomorrow streaming some more Division 2. Or maybe I'll play World War Z Aftermath. Spades. We need to get on that. Don't think I forgot about that. I'm going to gift you that game one of these days. You know, but thank you, Kels, for always making this fun for me. Everybody have a great day.